Hello everybody, in this episode I am going to be talking about CSS padding. So padding is very similar to margins. So margin adds space around an element and padding is used to create space around an element's content inside of any defined borders. So shortly put, padding equals the space inside of an element. Let me give you an example. I'm going to make a paragraph that's going to have some text and or better yet, let's use a div. I'm gonna create a div container and I'm gonna give it a class of container, and then I'm going to go to my CSS style sheet. So I'm gonna take the class container and give it a background. Actually, first I'm gonna give it a height of 300 pixels, a width of 300 pixels, margin will be auto, and background color will be pink. There we go. We have a div container centered on our page. Now I am going to add some text inside of here. Let's make a paragraph. This is the paragraph 1. Okay, and let's give that one a different background color. For example, let's say light green. Alright, so look what happens when I give the element some padding. Padding colon 10 pixels. It gets bigger in its size. So what this does is it adds padding space inside of the element 10 pixels to the top, right, bottom and the left. So the CSS padding properties are used to generate space around an element's content, and with CSS we have full control over the padding. There's properties for setting the padding for each side of an element. For example, we can use padding dash top of 50 pixels, padding dash left 20 pixels, padding dash bottom of, let's say, 100 pixels, and padding dash right of 50 pixels. So there's my example. I'm going to create another paragraph. So P, and the class is going to be example. This is some text, and I'm going to take the dot example. So here we go. This is our container right now. There's also a shorthand property. We can say padding colon 50 pixels. That adds 50 pixels to all the sides. Then we can do for example, two values, 50 pixels and 20 pixels. This will add 50 pixels to the top and bottom, and this will add 20 pixels to the right and left. Or we can assign all the values. For example, let's say 10 pixels, 20 pixels, 30 pixels and 40 pixels. This is the top, this is the right, this is the bottom, and this is the left side. So yeah, if this was in reverse order, 40 pixels, 30 pixels, 20 pixels, 10 pixels, it would look a little bit different. If we go to the page, right click and inspect, go to DevTools, then use this to select this element and go to the computed style, we can see that the padding is added around the element. So here's the content, here's the padding, there's no border, and there's a little bit of margin. And as usual, we can use all the regular measurements to set the padding. You can use percentages, you can use whatever you like. I like pixels, but you can use whatever you prefer. I'm going to give you guys another example, so let's create a div element. So div class, I'm gonna say example, and let's say that this is 300 pixels wide. And then I'm going to create a break tag and another div with the class of example2 and say that the width of this div is 350 pixels even though it is defined as 300 pixels in CSS. So I'm gonna show you something interesting. So let's first get the example. Here we go. And let's set the width to be 300 pixels and the background color to be light green. So this is going to be this one. It looks pretty good and correct. If we take the example 2 and give it the width of 300 pixels and then a background color of light blue and add some padding of 25 pixels, and now you can see that the width of this div is 350 pixels even though it is defined here as 300 pixels. So padding can sometimes create some results that are not intended. So keep this in mind. Now, to prevent this from happening, we can set a property over here called box sizing. So box dash sizing colon border box. Now you can see that both of these elements have the same width. So with the border box property, I was able to get these elements to be the same width, the 300 pixels. So yeah, I'm gonna make a comment. So we have padding top, padding left, padding bottom, padding right, and that is the order. We can use the shorthand property, and it's like this: padding 10 pixels, 20 pixels, 30 pixels, 40 pixels. So the first value is going to be the top, the second value is going to be the right, the right, yes. So these need to be like that. Okay, and the third value is going to be the bottom, and the fourth value will be left. So this is basically how the shorthand property works. So it goes from top, right, bottom, left. Top, right, bottom, left. Oh, whoops. So yeah, top, right, bottom, left. That's also how the margins work that we discussed in the previous episode. That's how the borders work. And that's how many CSS properties work. Anyways, padding is pretty simple. It's space inside of an element to be short. So yeah, Anyways, I hope you guys learned something new in this episode, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. Happy learning, everyone, and see you soon.